Coming to you mere miles from the ACC headquarters in Greensboro, North Carolina, this is Lance D in the Man Cave studio with your weekly ACC basketball update. Another week of ACC hoops is in the books, and we're continuing to see the league evolve with which teams are fighting through in the middle of the league, trying to get into that upper tier. And let's just start by going through who I thought had the most impressive week. Virginia and Florida State are continuing to play well. I think are clearly the best two teams in the league right now. But surprise, surprise, here comes Syracuse. They've had some bad games where they've lost double digits, but not this week. The shootings come alive for them. The 2-3 zones getting the job done well enough. But maybe that's just who they are. I know it's a bit of a cliche to say, teams that, if they're shooting well, they can beat anybody. If they're not, they can lose to anybody. More than anybody else in the league, Syracuse seems to epitomize that. It not only feels like they can win or lose depending on how they shoot, it means they will win by double digits if they're shooting it well, or they will lose by double digits if they're not. Bit of a unpredictable curveball when you're projecting out games moving forward for this Syracuse team. Great win over Virginia Tech this weekend. A team who have been playing well, and I think making a move to be in that top grouping with Virginia and Florida State now appears I don't know how much faith you can put there. On the other side of the coin, I think we need to talk about the teams that had the worst week. Doesn't get much worse than what Clemson's going through right now. As well as they played, being ranked a good bit of the season, feeling like even when they didn't shoot the ball well, they could play physical enough and just make it a dogfight to hang with anybody. And that just wasn't the case this past week. Got ran off the court twice, midweek by Georgia Tech and then over the weekend by Florida State. The final in that game was 80-61 Florida State over the Tigers, and it really wasn't that close. Florida State was up 30-some for a good chunk of that game. So Clemson's got some soul searching to do. It just hasn't responded well since they took the pause with COVID stuff, and hasn't put a quality performance on the court since. Miami lost both of their games, but they're still struggling through injuries, so it's almost par for the course for them. Duke, had a tough week, 2 road games, but went 0-2. Played both of them close, had chances late, so I know they have to be frustrated and disappointed and just have some questions for moving forward about what they can do. They canceled a lot of their non-conference games for late November and December, so I think they've played the fewest games of anyone in the league now. Wake Forest might be right there with them, but just not sure where they go. They're 5-5 overall on the year, 3-3 in conference play. So some questions for sure for those few programs. Now, if I were to think through, let's say our top 5 teams in the league right now, I'll give you my own personal power ranking. Virginia hasn't lost yet. I've got to put them at the top right now, and certainly the way they played against Clemson looked like a team that could be a legit, not just ACC champion, but a team that can make a run to the Final Four. Let's not forget we're without an NCAA tournament last year. This is still the reigning national champions. I know there's multiple guys that are gone from that championship team, but they've got some dudes that were on the bench and were playing some great ball last year and doing it again this year. Front and center, Jay Huff, their big center, continues to make outstanding plays. Their undersized point guard, Kihei Clark, didn't even have a good shooting game over the weekend against Georgia Tech in a really close game. But he made plays when it mattered, and he made his last shot to really seal the win for them. So after Florida State, I think it's comfortably, or after Virginia, it's comfortably Florida State. Just one loss, and that's been a few weeks back now. Florida State's been playing great ball, had a few runaway victories, including the win over Clemson this weekend. So there's a gap there after you pass Virginia and Florida State at 1 and 2. My personal rankings, and this is a pretty thin margin between them, but I would put Louisville at 3, Georgia Tech at 4, and Virginia Tech just slipping in at 5. Louisville, again, had the win over Duke. I think I mentioned that earlier. during on the weekend. Close game, but they fought and won at home. And only have 2 losses. Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech also only hold 2 losses now in the season. Georgia Tech, even in that close loss to Virginia, that game was in Charlottesville. Georgia Tech is playing some good basketball and I think has a lot of promise moving forward. Virginia Tech, it's a real question on them with just how bad they lost to Syracuse. I think the final was Syracuse 78, Virginia Tech 60. They weren't in that game, so I let them hang on because they've had so many other good performances. And the truth is, knocking on the door for that top 5, I think, is the North Carolina team. Won 5 out of their last 6. They are playing some good basketball right now, and you're seeing some of their younger players gaining some confidence in what they're doing on the floor. It's not a team you want to face in the coming weeks. Let's think about which individual players, though, put on the best performance, and there were multiple ones. I'm actually going to name 2. They're both from the same game, but on different teams. I'm going to give my overall performance of the week, though, to Duke's Jalen Johnson. He had one heck of a game against the Pittsburgh Panthers. Duke ended up losing that game in a real close one. Johnson fouled out late, and maybe that would have been a difference for them. But his stat line is just incredible. Guy posted 24 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. Otherworldly numbers. He's coming back from injury. I think he's maybe a week and a half now. He's been back playing after sitting out, let's say 6 weeks, give or take. Now, I think most people knew coming into the season, he could be the guy for Duke. He, I think, was the highest of their incoming recruits by ranking. And a lot of people have him projected for the NBA in the first round this coming year, but I don't think anybody thought he'd be putting up these type of numbers in league play, particularly against a quality opponent like Pitt, who has evolved into a quality opponent the last month or so. And a guy I mentioned last week, I'm going to give honorable mention to for his outstanding play in that same game against Duke, but Pitt's Justin Champagnie. I've got his name right now. I know I stumbled over it last week, but Champagnie put up 31 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 steals himself against that Duke team. He's been playing lights out basketball the last really week and a half. I think maybe the front runner for ACC Player of the Year if the vote was today, but I'll give him my honorable mention just by a hair behind Jalen Johnson. So turn our attention to the individual game of this past week. Couple of really close games, but I will have to say after Pittsburgh beat Duke at home, they traveled down to Winston-Salem to play a winless Wake Forest team. Winless in ACC play, that is. And the Demon Deacons were down double digits in the first half. I know I glanced at the game and thought, well, just another game where Pitt's playing well and Wake's not playing that well. Wake's played some teams close, but typically just hasn't been able to close games at all. Like not hanging on, keeping the lead where it is, kind of falling off at the end. But not over the weekend. Wake Forest got hot from 3. Had one guy I think hit 8 threes in the game, and Wake shot over 50% from 3. So I think with right around 4 minutes left, Wake was up 10. I know I was texting some friends, letting them know, like, hey, keep an eye on this game. I think Wake might get their first ACC win. Lo and behold, Wake kind of falls apart at the end, and Pittsburgh gets a chance. Wake actually turned it over on an inbounds with 4 seconds left, so Pitt had the ball right by their basket, down 2. Or actually, I think they were just down 1. And yeah, it was because final was 76-75, and Pittsburgh got a look but just couldn't hit it. Wake Forest won. That's first-year coach Steve Forbes. That's his first ACC win. Again, this Pittsburgh team's been playing well. They are right there, also battling for the top 5 in conference play. Have had some games where they really look the part. So a quality win for Wake. I think for Pitt, maybe you scratch it up to Wake was just hot. They were playing at home. But congrats to Wake. I'll give an honorable mention to a game I referenced earlier, Virginia's win over Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was up 8 or 9 with 8 or 9 minutes left in that game, and Virginia showed some grit, really fought back and hit some big shots, took the lead back with maybe 2 minutes left, and came down to the wire. Georgia Tech had a look for three at the buzzer that would have won the game if it had gone in, but not quite there. So, yeah, congrats to Virginia as my honorable mention win for the week. But that's kind of a recap of the week that was in ACC play. For the upcoming week, I think by far the biggest game to look forward to is part of that rivalry in Virginia. They call it the Commonwealth Clash. We've got Virginia heading down to Blacksburg to face those Hokies of Virginia Tech on Saturday. I think the game's going to be 6 p.m. on the ACC network. I'm expecting both teams will be ranked in the AP Top 25. VT might fall a little, but I'm guessing they'll still be in there, and Virginia will probably be ranked about number 10 or 12. So yeah, should be a really good game. Again, Virginia Tech's at home, so I would probably slightly favor Virginia, but again, VT's playing on their own turf, so don't know who will come out on top, but particularly if VT wins, this will really shake up the top of the conference with where guys are going to stand. But with that said, I think that's a good recap of the week that was and a glance at what's coming. Drop a comment below or give me a like and let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, y'all take care and go ACC.